on the numbers as we have them up to this point. And first of all, of course, the president, no problem here in the state of Alabama, and Joe Biden taking the state of Alabama as well. Now let's run through the U.S. Senate Republican race. And right now, Tommy Tuberville, the political newcomer, former head football coach at Auburn, with a lead over Jeff Sessions, the former senator from Alabama, most recently the attorney general who was fired by President Trump, but Sessions mounting a political comeback of sorts, or trying to. And then Bradley Byrne, right now a distant third, the current 1st Congressional District representative from Mobile. But right now, Tommy Tuberville and Jeff Sessions appear to be heading toward a runoff. We just have 2% of the precinct reporting, but still, we all figured that the race would come down to Tuberville and Sessions, and right now in the early going, it apparently is doing so. What I want to do right now is bring in our senior correspondent, Bob Grip, and talk to him a little bit about this particular race. And Bob, can you hear me, number one?
I sure can.
Okay, great. All right, you and I discussed this for the last several weeks about this particular Senate race, and we both came to the conclusion that it was Sessions and Tuberville with Bradley Byrne possibly coming in third. Let's talk about the race for a little bit. First of all, what has hurt Bradley Byrne the most in the early going here? Again, 2% of the precincts reporting here in the state.
Yeah, it certainly is early, Byron, but I think part of it, Bradley Byrne was known. He's been the 1st District congressman for a while. He's made a name for himself. He's done a good job here in southern Alabama. But when you get north of Montgomery, that's where he did a lot of work. He was going to a lot of events to try to get his name out in the northern part of the state. And of course, you've got Birmingham, you have Huntsville, you have areas like that. And those are big areas. Everybody knows Tommy Tuberville because of his time at Auburn University. And everybody knows Jeff Sessions because he was the U.S. Attorney in Mobile. He was also the Attorney General of the state of Alabama. Of course, he was a senator. Then for a while, he was the U.S. Attorney General. So he's well known. So I think Bradley Byrne has been fighting that and fighting that and fighting that.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned, it looks like the lead is going to go back and forth between Tommy Tuberville and Jeff Sessions, and we'll just see who winds up in that second place.
Yeah. All right. Again, the candidate that polls or that gets 50+% of the vote will move on to the November election, but it's going to be a little difficult. It looks like right now, with just 2% of the precinct reporting, we have about a 7% difference between Tuberville and Sessions. Is this a name recognition race, Bob? I mean, obviously, people know Jeff Sessions. Many people remember him, as you mentioned, from years ago, being the attorney here in Mobile, the U.S. attorney here in Mobile, and his efforts in fighting crime here. But then again, the Attorney General for the United States, and pretty much unceremoniously dumped by the president, and then, you know, pretty much politically dug a grave for Jeff Sessions. But he's back, and Tommy Tuberville, the political newcomer, making a lot of hay off his name recognition.
That's right, and that's a big deal in the state of Alabama. If you're a football coach, you are going to have instant name recognition. Now, there's been a lot of talk about him actually living most of the time in Florida, how Sean Spicer made a trip down to get him to get into the Senate race. We're still waiting to see how that affects anything. But you're right, name recognition is the key here, and that's what Bradley Byrne has been trying to build all over the state. He's been everywhere across the state. But it's hard to fight names like Jeff Sessions and Tommy Tuberville.
And that's, you know, when you bring up former head football coaches in Alabama. I mean, Tommy Tuberville with the name recognition, I can remember years ago that a particular party, I'm not going to say which one, approached Coach Bryant to run for governor of the state of Alabama. They felt like he could win in a walkover, but he decided against it. He would rather coach college football and coach the University of Alabama. But the people that were trying to get him to run were convinced that he could win. And in his autobiography, he said he felt like he could win. But do football coaches necessarily make the greatest political leaders? I mean, Bud Wilkerson, who ran for office in Oklahoma, the former Nebraska coach, head football coach, was in the Senate for several years. But Tommy Tuberville, like you said, has been living in Florida. He is a political newcomer, and he has also tried to align himself tightly with President Trump, as have Jeff Sessions, as has Bradley Byrne. So it really comes down to the voters and the name recognition and who they think can more tightly align themselves with President Trump.
That's true. And what I've been waiting to see, Byron, is who President Trump is going to tweet about.
Yes.
That's going to be key because, President Trump has huge numbers here in Alabama. He's very strongly approved of here. So the question is, all it takes is one tweet from the president when he's in the mood to do it. And that could make or break a campaign. And I know Senator Shelby was trying to, he thought Jeff Sessions is the perfect person to go back into the Senate. So, we're going to have to see how that plays out. It all depends on the mood the president's in, and if he endorses one or the other, or if he decides to stay out, we'll have to find out.
Well, I know that his aides were urging him to stay out of this race. And for once, the president seemingly has decided to sit on the sidelines for a while. Now, I know that Bradley Byrne was claiming that the president had endorsed him when he singled him out during his victory lap, if you will, following the impeachment process. But basically what he said was, Bradley Byrne, state of Alabama, great state. And that's all he said. And I asked Congressman Byrne here in the studio, I said, do you expect to get the president's endorsement? And he just kind of wavered on that one. So, but he is yet to come out, obviously, for Jeff Sessions. He's been very quiet about Jeff Sessions, although he has not been quiet at all about what he feels or how he feels about Jeff Sessions in the past. And Tommy Tuberville obviously sat with him during the Alabama LSU game at Bryant-Denny Stadium, but who knows what the two of them talked about.
Yeah, I think actually Bradley Byrne sat closer to President Trump. I thought Tommy Tuberville was in another luxury box, but not sitting next to the president.
True.
So you can see all this jockeying for space around, who is most devoted to President Trump and his policies. And of course, President Trump in the past has tweeted nasty, nasty things about Jeff Sessions. I talked to Jeff Sessions about it when he first announced his candidacy. And he said, well, that's in the past, and he is full-on Trump supporter in immigration and many other areas. So I don't know if it hurt him deeply, but he kind of let it, just flow away from him. And, he is devoted Trump all the way.
Yeah. Do you think that this vote for Jeff Sessions, other than the name recognition, may be a sympathy vote of sorts by the people of Alabama, in that they saw the pummeling that one of their own took from the President of the United States, arguably the most powerful man in the world, and that they're saying, you know what, we want to send Jeff back to the Senate. We want him to have, as Jeff says, his old seat back. Do you think possibly that could be what people are, why they're voting for Jeff Sessions?
I really don't think so, because Jeff Sessions was cheered when he appeared at Auburn University, one of the football games, and that was sort of a nice thank you, appreciation from the people of Alabama. But along the campaign trail, a lot of people, when asked about Jeff Sessions, accused him of being wobbly, of not supporting the president, of not actually being the president's attorney, when that really wasn't his job, and he said that over and over again. He was the Attorney General of the United States, not the Attorney General of President Trump. And there seemed to be some disagreement between the president and Jeff Sessions about that. So I'm not sure it would be a sympathy vote, because there are still a lot of people upset at Jeff Sessions for, in their view, being wobbly on the idea.
Well, wobbly or not, Jeff Sessions is in a race with Tommy Tuberville right now for the top two positions. We just have two precincts reporting very early on in the evening. But right now, Tommy Tuberville with 39% of the vote, Jeff Sessions with 32% of the vote, and Bradley Byrne right now with 19% of the vote. Bob, going to let you know, I know you're there at Sessions headquarters. I know you spoke with Mary Sessions earlier. Just briefly tell us what she had to say about the campaign and about tonight.
I did talk to her just a few minutes ago. I spotted her out in the hallway, and I said, how is your husband doing? Is he calm? And she said, yes, he's calm, more or less. I don't know how you can be calm on an election night. if you are trying to win a chance to get into office. But she kind of downplayed it and said, you know, he's doing okay. We have yet to see him, of course. We were told that we're probably not going to hear from him any earlier than 10 o'clock. And the way the votes are coming in, it may be after that, because we're looking to see who's going to be in the top two. And I don't think it's a race that we can call yet.
No, by no means can anyone call this race. Bob Grip, our senior correspondent at Jeff Sessions headquarters, will be checking in with you coming up on Fox 10 News at 9 and 10. And we certainly look forward to your insights then. But we appreciate your time with us right now. Thanks again. Bob Grip, our senior correspondent there at Jeff Sessions headquarters. Of course, we'll have coverage all over the area. And while we have the opportunity, let's go ahead and just bring you up to date on the numbers again. There you see with 2% of the vote reporting, right, or 2% of the precincts reporting the race for the Republican primary of the Senate. And then the U.S. House District 1, a very interesting race here as well. Jerry Carr and Bill Hightower seem to be slugging it out right here. Jerry Carr, of course, representing District 3 in the Mobile County Commission. Bill Hightower, a former state senator, was a candidate for governor in 2018, but eventually acquiesced and dropped out of that race, allowing Governor Ivey to sweep into office. But right now, too close to call in this race as well. Among the Democrats, James Everhart, the businessman, former Marine, with a slight lead over Dr. Kiani Gardner. And then you can see some of the other races down the ballot here. Let me check one real quick. There's Amendment 1 right there. And apparently, people do not want to relinquish their vote when it comes to electing school board members in the state of Alabama. State school board members, I want to add. You know that the governor is definitely pushing to appoint a state school board, but it would be made up of commissioners, 9 commissioners, not 8 school board members. But apparently, right now, with just 2% of the precincts reporting, voters in Alabama are saying, nope, we want to continue to vote for the state school board. And of course, we'll have more on that race. And here's the Mobile County Commission, District 2, Connie Hudson. Very, very little challenge here from Robert Lee Turner, a retired Scott Paper Company employee, a farmer up in Chunchula. Connie Hudson, who has been on the county commission since 2010, looks like will easily sweep back into office there representing District 2 of Mobile County. So we've got a lot of races to cover for you, and we're looking forward to bringing all that to you coming up on Fox 10 News at 9 and 10. And the results seem to be slowly coming in, so not sure exactly if we're going to be able to call races at 9 and 10 o'clock. This may go on for a little while, but certainly everyone watching that Republican primary race for the Senate, as well as the congressional House seat that is being vacated by Bradley Byrne. So a lot to talk about. We've got crews spread out all over the Fox 10 viewing area to bring it all to you. So we're looking forward to seeing you on Fox 10 News at 9 and 10. I'm Byron Day. We'll see you then.